Hi, Nick Dogle, North State Law. We safeguard your professional license so you can get back to business. We got a law update today. This is fresh out of the General Assembly as of July 3rd, 2025. We now have formally House Bill 763. Oh, how quickly these bills grow up to become laws. So on July 3rd, 2025, House Bill 763 was signed into law by North Carolina Governor Josh Stein, and this has to do with occupational, also known as professional licensing in neighboring states. So if somebody is a resident of any state that borders North Carolina, so the statute specifically says Virginia, West Virginia, Georgia, South Carolina, or Tennessee, and you're in specific professions and you meet specific criteria, you could have an easier and quicker time becoming licensed in North Carolina once you've established residency here. So the biggest thing on this particular statute, which is 93B-15.3, I've got a link to that in the description, so go ahead and check that out for yourself. But the biggest thing on this one is it's not applicable to every profession. In fact, there's more than 9, but they list 9 specific types of professions that are excluded from the applicability of this particular statute. The first one right out of the gate is anybody that has the license or certification in the healthcare industry, and any of those listed professions under Chapter 90 of the North Carolina General Statutes. And there's going to be a long list of them, so make sure to check that out as well and see if your profession is listed under there. But if it is, then this is not applicable to your profession. So that's just one of them. Lawyers doesn't apply to us. We would have to take the bar again, or otherwise go through the now they call it something else. I think it's uniform bar exam, and get licensure through the state bar that way. If you're in another state, back in my time, it was the multi-state bar exam, but I think that's been changed. But anyways, so not only are certain professions in the healthcare industry, this is not applicable to them. It's not applicable to attorneys. It's not applicable to veterinarians and vet techs. It's not applicable to CPAs. It's also not applicable to those that are in the pesticide industry. So if you're got a certification or license through the North Carolina Pesticide Board, this law is not applicable to you, and you have to go through the normal process with that licensing entity to get your license in North Carolina. Also, if there's any sort of pest control certification licensure, this is specifically listed in the statute as well as not being applicable to that profession. And then if you are a dealer, salesman, issuer, investment advisor representative, and athlete's agent under Chapters 78A, 78C, and 78D of the general statutes, then unfortunately, utilizing this law to become licensed in North Carolina is not going to work for you either. So those are the ones that they specifically mention in the general statute. So right out of the gate, if you're under any of those professions, unfortunately, you got to go through their licensing process or certification process the old-fashioned way. And good luck to you on that one. So the other thing is you have to be licensed and be in good standing with your licensing entity, and you have to have been licensed for at least a year. So if you're freshly licensed, you can't just jump into being licensed in, say, Virginia for like 6 months and say, you know what, my fiance moved down to North Carolina, I'm moving down with her, we got family there, and I'm going to go ahead and utilize 93B-15.3 and become licensed as an insurance agent or real estate agent down in North Carolina. Nah, you got to wait. You got to be licensed in the other state for 12 months or more. Also, you have to be in good standing. What I mean by that is you can't have any pending disciplinary actions out there or any sort of pending probation or anything along those lines where you're still have probationary conditions or you still have some sort of complaint floating out there in the other state. All that stuff's got to be wrapped up. Otherwise, your license is just going to get hung up Like your application is going to get hung up here, and you're not going to be able to utilize the new statute 93B-15.3. The other thing is if you have a revocation or a surrender of your license or certification in another state, that can prohibit you from being licensed in North Carolina. So if you've had prior action like that, that's going to be a bit of a problem for you. So if you have had prior disciplinary action, now, because that's in subsection C of 93B-15.3. If it's been resolved, that means you've gone through the disciplinary process. Say you've come out with a public reprimand and there was some sort of fine associated with it, and that was it, and everything's done and over with. Then you can be licensed under 93B-15.3. But like I said before, if there's still pending discipline or you haven't wrapped up the disciplinary process with the other board in regards to the penalty, like you're still on probation or whatever the case may be, or you got to take a couple courses for continuing education, then you need to go ahead and get that stuff done so you can get all that behind you before you apply under 93B-15.3 to become licensed in North Carolina. So, if you have other agreements that could affect your ability to apply in North Carolina. So you have to be really, really careful what you enter into in other states if you do have discipline or you have some sort of complaint that's been filed against you. You really, really, really need to be careful. I can't give any advice on states other than North Carolina, but we do have a large network of individuals, including the states that border North Carolina, that we can refer you out to help get those complaints situated in those other bordering states and other states throughout the United States. So that's really the meat and potatoes of it. Like I said, I would encourage you to view the statute yourself. But this is, in my opinion, at least, a pathway to having more individuals that can become licensed in a faster capacity instead of having to go through all the red tape, which comes with being licensed in North Carolina. Unfortunately, it doesn't apply to everybody that's a licensed professional. As I said before, the biggest ones are going to be anybody in the healthcare industry that's licensed under Chapter 90 of the North Carolina General Statutes. Attorneys, architects are in there as well, the long list that I talked about before. But it is a step much needed and much in the right direction. I mean, we're a state where a lot of people want to move here, and they want to move here for a reason. North Carolina is a great place to live. So it creates a way for those that want to move here to have easier access to the professions that they love to provide services for. So I think that this is a fantastic law. It's a great one. It's a move in the right direction. From my understanding, Senator Timothy Moffitt was very instrumental in getting this passed. So kudos to him, and kudos to Governor Stein for signing it into law. Hopefully we'll see a lot more progress when it comes to occupational licensing, professional licensing laws in the future, so we can kind of get a little bit more of our freedom back. But I hope that was very helpful and informative for everybody. If you got any questions on that, please check out the other blogs on my website. Please check out the statute itself, and also check out Chapter 90 if you're kind of concerned whether or not you're under that particular chapter as a healthcare professional. And if you still can't find what you're looking for in either one of those spots or on our YouTube channel, then give my office a call or a text at 919-521-8810, and you get a free 15-minute discovery call with a member of my staff. Thank you so much for serving North Carolina. Hope everybody has a fantastic day. Bye-bye.